can I help you?
Yes, I'd like some information. I went to Methodist Hospital, Richardson. If you
Okay.
did, you need the date?
Uh, well,
Well, the
maybe.
police were there and they escorted me out. I went to I was at Motel 6, and I was deprived of the right to a motel stay. The police had something to do with why I was deprived of the right to stay at a motel in the rain and cold. So then I tried to tell the police that I was having a mental crisis to get off the streets because my housing, which is a crime, was stolen from me, and I was deprived of the right to housing even at hotel stays. So then I tried to say that I was having a mental breakdown, and I went to Richardson Hospital, and police were there guarding the hospital, and then escorted me out when it was still dark. It wasn't even 24 hours. And I wanted to know why
Uh,
they were there at the hospital guarding me because they've done it at multiple different locations. Can
okay. Which police department was at the hospital?
Richardson?
And are you sure it's not the hospital police? Because they do have their own police
No, it
department.
was Richardson. I mean, I can give you. What's your name?
I'm sorry?
What's your name?
1502?
Okay, you didn't want me to have your name?
We're not required to give it, but that is my badge number, ma'am.
Okay, so I just wanted to figure out why police have been guarding me at a multitude of locations, even domestic violence organizations, and at bus stops.
Yes. And again, I don't mean to speak over you. I'm just trying to figure out and make sure that I get you the correct information, which is why I was asking you the question.
Sure, but we still haven't got a resolution to why Richardson police were at, as well as multitude of police departments are at locations that I'm at. Because terrorizing someone, abusing power, I thought was criminal. But I did want to hone into why they were at Richardson Hospital, Methodist Hospital, and I was deprived of my right to see. Because received a brochure, and it says that I have a right to mental health treatment, but I've been deprived of it. I
Okay.
wanted to know why the police were there. Did you need to know the date?
So it would actually be more helpful to have your name to look up
Okay.
previous calls.
Okay, it's Keyana Clark, and they were actually at Baylor too. In fact, almost all hospitals I've been at.
Okay, and what was the date that it happened at?
Okay, let me get that date. That was December 31st
Okay,
of 20. Let me make sure I have that correct. 2020.
so 2 years ago, ma'am?
Right. I'm just curious because they escorted me out of Richardson Hospital. I was escorted out of Baylor Hospital, and then they were guarding me at another hospital, Methodist, at another location. And then they were guarding me there, and then they were guarding me at Parkland, Methodist, at another location, and the Richardson location. So I'm not quite sure why at these hospital stays are the police there guarding me. And I just wanted to get the origin of why that was happening. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that do all citizens have police guard them at hospital stays and also escort them out trying to get medical treatment?
So I'm not sure, but what I can do is offer...
You're not, hold on. I'm sorry.
Call you?
I'm sorry. So what was all this time that I spent on the line with you? So you're not sure if it's standard procedure for police to guard a citizen at a hospital stay and also escort them out getting medical treatment? You're not sure if that's normal?
Ma'am, I'm going to put you on hold real quick.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's like this when I call people, and I don't know why they were guarding AT&T. And why Metro PCS isn't being honest.
Hi, Ms. Clark. Thank you for... Oh, I'm sorry. She put you on hold. Ms. Clark, this is her trainer. She's pretty new here.
She's pretty new there.
What
okay.
What she was doing was she was running a query to see what incident numbers in 2020 to see if there was possibly any explanation she could have as to why the police had contacted you there at the hospital.
There's a misunderstanding. There's a misunderstanding. No, the police escorted me out trying to get... I'm looking in this brochure, and it says for domestic violence victims, which, I have been, that you can get mental health treatment at Methodist Richardson. And I'm not quite sure why the police escorted me out trying to get the treatment. And also prior
So
to that, I'm
I would
not
like to
being
get an
heard,
answer
ma'am. I'm
for
not
you.
being heard. Let me finish. Prior to that,
Okay.
Garland police prevented me from having shelter at a motel stay that I was trying to pay for. So then I tried to get shelter and help for my trauma at Methodist Richardson Hospital. And then police were there waiting, and they seemed to be at a multitude of environments. So I just don't understand why they're guarding me at hospital stays and escorting me out trying to get medical treatment. Is that criminal?
So I'm not a police officer. We're dispatchers up here. So what I can do is have an officer call you and talk with you about
Oh, no, I'm not quite sure because they're just going to blame it on you guys. So I wanted to know why you allowed police to disrupt me getting medical treatment there. I want to put the responsibility on where I called. I'm deliberately
and that's
trying to
why
call
we're trying to have a police officer.
I'm not
contact
asking
you,
for that, ma'am. Okay, because they're going to blame it on you. So the police came and did that on their own? Are you stating that?
No, ma'am, I did not state that.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get down to the bottom of why I was removed trying to get medical treatment at the Methodist Richardson Hospital.
And I cannot answer why an officer
What's your
at
name?
Methodist Richardson might have done that, ma'am.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is 1318. I'm happy to have an officer contact you to maybe see if they have some answers as to why that happened.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Would you mind if I got your phone number, Miss Clark?
So I do
Okay,
want
thank
to.
you.
I want to hone in on why the hospital deprived me of medical treatment.
Okay, and why the hospital deprived you of medical treatment, you'll need to speak with the hospital.
What did I call? Because I called the number for Methodist Richardson. This is what it gave me. It's now not the hospital.
This is the Richardson Police Department.
Okay. Let me see.
I can give you their phone number if you'd like.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do apologize. It is the police department. Okay, so I need to speak with the hospital on why they denied me medical treatment. Because they are closed
and
now.
I'm happy to give you their phone number.
Okay.
Are you ready to write it down, Miss Clark?
Yes.
Okay, it's 214-947-8899, and that's Methodist Richardson Medical Center Police Department.
Okay, so
Did you still want Richardson to call you as well?
okay, so I'm trying to find out why I was deprived of medical treatment for the trauma.
Right.
So you and not allowed the right to admit myself in the hospital. So that's 214-947-8899.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what is that for?
That is the Methodist Richardson Medical Center Police Department.
Okay, they can tell me why the hospital denied me my right to admit myself in the hospital?
They could speak to concerns raised at the hospital.
I don't understand. So will I be deprived of answers why I was denied medical treatment? At a multitude of locations?
Whether or not they will have the answer, but that is the correct person to speak
Isn't that a
with.
crime to deprive someone of their right to medical treatment? I mean, why would they not have the answers? I don't understand why I call on my phone for years.
So I can't tell you what the crimes are. I do understand your concerns.
I don't understand why I call all these parties and they're rude and seem to cover for all of my experiences. Don't you think that's a bit odd that police would guard someone in a hospital stay and then escort them out trying to get medical treatment for the trauma that they? I'm not being heard, ma'am. You're interrupting. That's really rude, ma'am. That's really rude. For the trauma that they have put me through to get treatment for the abuse, to cope for them terrorizing me, for them to escort me out for trying to get a relief from their abuse. You don't think that that's okay? Because you keep interrupting me trying to report it, like a multitude of other parties have done.
Okay. Well, you're saying that you want to report that you were deprived of medical help. So that's
right, and I'm trying to get down to the bottom of why police keep escorting me out and guarding me at locations. A multitude of these locations, that seems like that's abusive. I don't want my bullies at multiple different locations watching me and guarding me, enforcing their abuse. Because they escorted me out, prevented hospital staffs from assisting me to escape their abuse. So enforcing, they guarded the environments to make sure parties did not help me escape their abuse, even to the extreme of guarding domestic violence locations. So I'm just trying to see if that's normal behavior for police to guard someone at hospital stays and prevent them from.
I wish I could tell you, but
okay, so you don't know if all citizens seeking a medical treatment, if police are there guarding them. You don't know every citizen has that experience.
I am not a police officer, ma'am.
Have you been in the hospital?
Not anytime recently, no, ma'am.
Okay, when you were in the hospital, were police there guarding you?
No.
Okay, so that's not normal. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of why I repetitively experience this.
Okay, well, Ms. Clark, I'm hoping to put you in touch with someone that is able to help you. I've given you the phone number for the police department so that you can speak with them over at MRNC, and I've offered to have one of our officers contact you so you can raise your concerns with them as well. Is there anything else I can do for you?
That'll be it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Samantha?
Yes, I experienced a situation at a multitude of locations. Police have been guarding me. And I'm trying to get down to the bottom of my stay there when I tried. So I had a predicament. I went to Garland Motel 6, and they would not let me check myself into a room that I was trying to pay for. They said the police had something to do with it. So since I was deprived of the right to stay in a hotel room December 31st of 2020, I tried to check myself in a mental hospital because of trauma that the police department has been putting me through.
Yes,
So Richardson police came in and removed me and deprived me of that right to check myself in the hospital. And they were also guarding me through my experience there. And I've noticed that a multitude of locations the police are there enforcing that I don't escape their abuse, which I thought was a crime, including at domestic violence organizations and church. So I wanted to know what was going on while I was removed, trying to get, because in this booklet, it states that you can, if there's trauma. It didn't state that if the police were terrorizing you and creating trauma, that you were deprived of medical treatment. It says that you can get mental health assistance. And this is very traumatic, and I've been deprived of it. And evidence of that is them removing me. But it was still dark. It wasn't even light outside. And they removed me and forced me to leave this hospital. I'd like to know why on December 31st, 2020, why they forced me to leave.
December 31st or 21st?
December 31st of 2020, they forced me to leave Richardson Police. They stayed there and guarded my experience, enforcing that people didn't assist me because the procedures when you get out of a hospital, they give you housing. And they assist you. And they made sure that the parties did not follow protocol. At a multitude of locations, they were there enforcing that staff didn't follow protocol and they were enlisted in terrorizing me. So I wanted to know why they were there and removed me December 31st, 2020, and prevented me from having housing at every location, including my own apartment.
Okay, so is this with the Richardson Police?
Yes, ma'am. Richardson Police. I'd like to know why they removed me from Methodist Richardson Hospital, trying to get mental treatment for the trauma of their abuse.
And this is what's stopping you from receiving housing or from being able to be checked into any other facility?
That is correct. They were there enforcing that I didn't get assistance. They were there removing me at locations for getting housing. That is absolutely correct. I have it recorded. Okay. I have a YouTube channel I can give you if you'd like to see it. Okay, so they interrupt housing at domestic violence shelters and a multitude of locations. But I would like to concentrate, which is I thought was a federal violation to deprive someone of housing. Because what they were doing is they were enforcing that social workers didn't assist me to cover up for their abuse and crimes. So they guard these locations and have enforced these people not to follow protocol because they're supposed to get me in a safe environment and not force me to be homeless. That's a lawsuit for the hospital. But when police are there guarding it and enforcing crimes, they follow through with the government's abuse, as well as domestic violence locations and churches. But right now, I wanted to concentrate on why they were there in Richardson. Why were they there?
Okay, so...
Okay, that is correct.
With the information you have given me, I just need to make sure that to specify that it was Richardson Police Department, or was it the officers that work for Methodist Hospital?
I'm not quite sure. To my knowledge, I thought it was Richardson Police. But I just wanted to know. I don't understand why so many avenues I'm deprived of the right to know why I'm being guarded by police.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So for that information, Ms. Clark, I wouldn't want to give you any incorrect information.
Well, I mean, they haven't wanted to give me information for years. I can't get my records. So you stating that, what did I call?
So I'm a dispatcher here for the Methodist Hospital. I dispatch for all 6 campuses. But if it's Richardson PD, that's a different agency.
Okay, do
You
you
were
have any information? I don't understand why for years I can't get down to the origin of why police keep guarding me and terrorizing me. Their purpose for being involved in my environments. I can't get down to the origin of why I keep getting terrorized by all police departments.
okay. What I can do, Miss Clark, I can transfer your call to our dispatch, the dispatch at Richardson, and they could possibly give you more information if there's a police report that's ever been written down or any information of why.
Okay, so you don't have anything. Are you stating that you don't have anything? Are you stating that you don't have anything in your system regarding why police were there and enforced that I didn't get help for the trauma of the abuse that they put me through?
I have no information, Miss Clark.
Okay, so what are you? Because I've been experiencing this year. So what number would you like me to dial now?
Give me 1 moment.
Okay.
Phone number, and this is for the Richardson Police Department.
Okay.
It would be 972
Okay.
744 4800.
Okay. Can you transfer me?
Yes, ma'am, I can. Give me 1 moment.
Okay, thank you.
Can I help you?
Yes, I've been having a hard time finding the origin of why police are routinely in my environments and guarding me. So I would like to know why police came to Methodist Richardson Hospital and escorted me out, trying to get medical treatment for the trauma for the abuse that they put me through, and escorted me out the hospital.
I have one of my officers attempting to call you on the phone right now. I do see that call in.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to hang up. You can answer his call, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
City of Richardson calling for Miss Kiana Clark.
Hello. May I have your name
Officer Nieto, Nieto,
and your badge number, please?
1157.
Okay. I just wanted to know about a strange experience that I've been having with police guarding me at hospital stays and, removing me for trying to get medical treatment for trauma of their abuse.
Yes, ma'am. Where did this happen?
At Methodist Richardson, December 31st at 2020. I was experiencing a situation. I was deprived of checking out a room at Motel 6 in Garland because of the police in the rain and cold. So I stated that I wanted to get into a hospital for trauma that the police have been putting me through, for abuse that the police department has put me through. And the police were there guarding, enforcing that staff did not give me treatment and did not follow protocol and get me housed or services with the social worker. And then forced me to leave. I wanted to know why they did that.
Okay. When did this occur again?
December 31st, 2020.
All right. December 31st, 2020. There's 2 Methodist hospitals in Richardson. Which location were you taken to?
I don't know. The Garland police took me there.
Okay,
I think it was either one off Campbell Road.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right. 401 West Campbell. You said Garland PD took you there?
Yes, I don't see 2. I see one perimeter behavioral hospital. I don't see 2 hospitals, but okay, in this pamphlet, I don't.
Yeah, well, under the Methodist banner, there's 2 hospitals, and the one that you mentioned on Campbell, that would be where someone would be taken for the kind of situation you were talking about.
Right. Yeah, I had the handbook to help me because a lot of people couldn't differentiate the difference between that hospital for psychiatric needs and the other one. But yes, I do have the handbook to help assist, and that's the only one that I see for psychiatric needs.
Yes, ma'am. So you were there December 31, 2020.
Right.
Garland PD took you there. And while you were at the hospital, what exactly did happen?
Richardson police were there enforcing that staff not help me with social workers with the crisis that I was in. And also enforced that they deprive me of medical treatment and housing, which is a protocol. When you're released from the hospital, it's a lawsuit to not give that party housed. But the police were there enforcing that the staff prevent me from getting housed in any social worker services and remove me while it was still dark.
Okay. When were you released from the Campbell facility?
I was released. I got there this late December 31st, and they removed me the next day.
Okay, so January 1st, 2021, released.
Right, within deprived of medical treatment. It may have been like 4 or 5. It was still dark.
Okay, so it's in the morning.
Right, and police escorted me out, preventing me to speak with anyone trying to get housed or trying to get assistance in my crisis. So at that point, they would not give me a ride. and I did not know where I was. They told me bust in right there, so I was in the point to where I almost had to call 911 because I was trapped. I couldn't get law enforcement. I couldn't get housed. I couldn't get help with their trauma. Every location was depriving me of the help in domestic violence, and I couldn't. Police wouldn't give me a ride. They wouldn't help, so I did not know how to get help. They were there enforcing that I'd never got it. So when I tried to escalate into domestic violence that I could not get a solution to, they finally went ahead and gave me a ride because buses weren't running in that location, so I was trapped. So then they stated that they give me a ride to the dark bus station. They did, but they were depriving a multitude of locations to not give me assistance and not follow the protocol. But I wanted to know what was their reasoning behind being there at that particular time, enforcing that this hospital staff not follow protocol and get me housed.
Okay. So you said Richardson PD was at that hospital?
What PD would be at Methodist Richardson? Are you a police?
Yes, ma'am. But you see, Methodist.
Are you able to look? That way we can, you're a police and you should have, more available skills to figure out what happened. That's why I'm reaching out to the police department. So are you able to look in your system to get answers and then we can start that way?
Methodist Richardson is, they have their own police department.
Well, you haven't looked to see if it was just a regular police. I don't know why I keep getting forwarded over to a multitude of locations. They requested that I speak. I've already spoke with them.
Okay.
Are you refusing just to look and find out?
I am looking.
Oh, okay.
There's no record of it.
Okay. You don't see a record?
Well, the only records I have under the name of Kiana Clark, Keyana, last name Clark, is basically calls from 2022. I don't see any entries for 2020.
Okay, well, what happened in 2022? What do you see?
Let's see. The first one. Hang on, let me get these in order.
Okay.
For 2022 00 04 4957.
You don't want me to know what that's for?
Let's see.
Okay.
The initial notes, it says, contact by phone, reference cyberbullying.
Okay. What about the recent call when I came in person trying to get in a safe environment? Do you see that one?
Let's see. That was this year?
Yes.
Okay. There's two others. Let me look them up.
Okay.
The 2022 00 06 8953. Let's see what that is.
Okay.
Okay. Clark.
Are you depriving me of the right to know what it's for?
Well, no, but the problem is, ma'am, that when information for calls like that, we can't release the direct notes over the phone. What the person has to do is come in person and contact our records division, show ID, and you can get a copy of all the related notes for that call.
Well, you know what? I know that there's a substantial change in procedure because people used to be able to get updates on their reports. But I'm deprived of that for some reason, and protocol isn't followed at a multitude of departments. Now I'm just trying to explain what the problem that I'm getting, resolutions, because now they're enforcing that you get records to get updates, and then you're deprived of records, which is a crime at multitude of departments. Used to be for normal citizens that you can call and police didn't try to scheme and deprive you of law enforcement. I've witnessed a multitude of people go in and get their records, and then I sit there like an elephant in the room being deprived of records because the police can't get their story straight. So now all of a sudden you gave me the record of reporting cyberbullying. What was done with that?
Well, the problem is, once again, ma'am, I can't release call notes over the phone.
So you're okay. It really sounds like these are legal ways to deprive law enforcement.
Well, no,
and then really committing crimes and denying investigation and using case schemes and catch-22s to deprive a citizen of law enforcement, as multiple parties have done for years. What it sounds like is passing the buck in crimes, if you ask me, at a multitude of departments. So some kind of way I reported to the police department that I fear my safety, and all departments have deprived me of the right to be safe. and also conspired with abuse to the degree of where they came, guarded hospital stays, and enforced either that and stopped me and enforced no location, assisted me down to churches and domestic violence organizations, which I thought was criminal. But some kind of way, years, I'm deprived of investigation to see why police keep showing up, the ones that are terrorizing me, assaulting me, falsely arresting me with no consequences, enforcing the child abuse of my daughter, as well as the abuse of my whole family, as well as myself. So some kind of way for years, it's all these catch-22s to prevent us from getting any help or protection against the government. And to the degree, to the extreme abuse of power, enforcing parties at churches, hospital stays, domestic violence organizations to conspire with the government's criminal activity and cover for their crimes.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't understand how to proceed if everyone I talk to is tampered with evidence committing felonies and there's nothing done to resolve it.
Well, the first step, Miss Clark, is that you can come down to the records division and you can request copies.
Well, here's the thing. It does no good to request copies of records that you refuse to investigate and then cover for it by forcing me to get records for crimes that you're covering up for. First off, I would like to get his resolution. I think that you don't want to tell me because if someone stated that their life was in jeopardy and a multitude of departments deprived them of the right to get safety from their abuse, including the FBI, the DOJ, which is extreme amount of power, which would make that party's life be in danger even more if they're targeted by all police departments and the government, to the degree to where they interrupt them at hospital stays, deprive them of medical treatment, even for mental treatment to escape the trauma of their abuse. That's a bit extreme.
Yes, ma'am. I see where you're coming from. And
some kind of way you see where I'm coming from. So what are we going to do? I'm targeted by the government, and that's extreme. So how can I be protected against law enforcement? You have evidence of it because they have removed me for trying to get help for the trauma that they have put me through. Standing there guarding and forcing that staff not follow protocol and force me into homelessness. I thought that was a violation that the FBI investigated when parties deprived a person of housing. And a multitude of locations have done that and been caught on camera footage showing up to deprive me of getting any help to escape their abuse, which is criminal. People are racking up felonies, but there don't seem to be any charges. I don't know why the police department and the government will continue to terrorize my family, entice my daughter to conspire with their crimes, cover for them. At one point, my daughter was screaming in terror, and then at one point she said that it was my fault. Had she cried and had meltdowns, got hit, and they can't get their story straight April 19, 2022. She can't get her story straight if the stepmom did it or if a bully hit her at school. Multiple parties attacked me in schemes, assaulted me in schemes, and nothing was done. I don't know if it's being done to my child because her behavior has changed. You police department has covered for my abuse as well as my daughter's and enforced it, which is a crime. Not reporting suspected child abuse is a Class A misdemeanor, in some circumstances a felony, and there's a lot of people that have committed that crime. I don't appreciate the government enforcing my daughter to stay in an emotionally, psychologically abusive environment just so I can be terrorized. So why is the government depriving me of any avenue to protect my daughter or see her? Period. Torturing me in schemes to keep me away from my child, which is criminal. I cannot see my child giving me tickets to enforce that it continues to go on. She witnessed my foster arrest screaming in terror at 8. She is 13. And you criminals have been enforcing that behavior for a long time. It's time that you get your charges. Terrorizing citizens is having them conspire with felonies is inexcusable. I just don't know how much longer you're going to continue to get away with this chaos.
Well, I understand your frustration, Ms. Clark. In regards,
you have a responsibility. What's your name?
Nito.
Okay, what are you going to do about it, Nito? Because it seems my family seems to have fallen through the cracks for years. So if you heard of this, are you going to place me in a safe environment? Or are you calling CPS to report the crimes?
Calling CPS. I wasn't aware of CPS involvement.
I just told you that the government is enforcing child abuse. She witnessed my false arrest, screaming and terror. Multiple parties have committed interference with child custody crimes. She's in a physically abusive as well as emotionally abusive environment. You're a police.
All right.
September 24, 2011, she had bruises on her. Police covered for it and can't find the reports, as well as CPS. February 2018, James Hastings covered for her more abuse that she reported to me. Her dad wasn't in her life for a long time. They came into the environment again. February 2018, she reported more abuse. Then more abuse was reported April of 19th of 2022. I reported it to the police and CPS. They both covered for it. My daughter can't get her story straight. The stepmom can't get her story straight and said she wasn't concerned about who hit my child. I showed police texts. They covered for it and would not investigate the origin of who hit my child. She was afraid. She thought that she was going to go blind. She stated now she has been deprived of the right to speak to me to even report her abuse because the government enforces it. When I go see my child, I get heavily stalked. Cars wait and stalk me. One even hit me in front of my child's home. You refuse to investigate the origin of it. He lied and said that he saw me down the street. He hit me, lied and said I was fleeing the scene. He said he saw me down the street, got caught in multiple different lies. My insurance company later covered for it. She also said the person, the adjuster, said that he got caught in lies and then hung up on her because he was getting caught in lies. Then they later covered for it.
I wasn't aware of all this.
Well, you're aware now. You're aware now. And if they would have abided by the law and those reports that I already made, you would have been aware of it prior. You are aware about it now. So what is going to be done?
All we can do is document that you contacted us about this, but without a CPS referral number or any kind of prior report of these issues that you're telling me about.
There is a prior report that they didn't follow protocol, and I thought not reporting suspected child abuse that you would be committing a crime like everyone else that I come in contact with. I don't understand why the police department would enforce such extreme events, everyone I come in contact with. Why would the judge commit a crime and not report suspected child abuse? Why is it a multitude of government officials that commit this crime? I imagine this extreme amount of corruption is probably the felony charge. Why are so many people jeopardizing a felony to enforce my family's abuse? And have enforced it to years to the extreme of guarding me at hospital stays to enforce that hospital staff not follow the protocol? So you are aware of it now. Why is the United States depriving me of law enforcement?
Okay.
And protection against their abuse.
Okay. Well, I mean, without a reference number from CPS or the...
I don't understand why you're not abiding by the law and reporting it to CPS. Why would you commit a crime right now?
Yeah, because I don't have a reference number. I don't have...
You're a police. You're supposed to make one. I'm not understanding why police aren't following protocol and committing crimes. Let me tell you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to report it over. If someone reports child abuse, I'm trying to tell you what your job responsibility is because apparently a lot of people aren't aware. Let me tell you your job responsibility. You have a due diligence that you're committing a crime and not doing. So your responsibility in this phone call is to contact CPS and do a referral.
Yeah. Do you have a referral number?
You're supposed to do that. Why are you not doing that?
Well, because I don't have an address or information. Where's
I can give it to you.
Where is this all occurring?
So now the story is you don't have an address. That's why you weren't following protocol.
Yeah, we have to have a specific address to where the incident can be tied to.
Okay, so I came there. Hold on.
Where?
Hold on. Let me hold on. This is Richardson Police?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Okay, on September 24, 2022, I spoke with Richardson Police.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the call sheet that you have to reference.
Let's see. Looking at it right now. Call sheet is 2022-0006-8953.
Okay. You have a call sheet to reference it to?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what are you, as well as the other police I reported the abuse, why would they deprive a law enforcement commit that crime? and not investigate it?
Okay.
You do have a call sheet with the prior incident of me reporting the same madness. You said you needed a call sheet. I don't understand why police aren't doing their due diligence and their job responsibility by reporting that to CPS, which is a crime. So I'm not understanding why police would commit crimes and not report the suspected abuse to CPS.
Well, I can understand your frustration, Ms. Clark,
we're not getting resolutions for years, sir. So I'm reporting the abuse of my child and the government is enforcing it.
Right.
Why would you do that? Why would you commit a crime as well as the other officers I reported that to? Why are you committing a crime right now?
Okay, well, I'm looking at the call sheet from September 24th that you referenced. Like I said, we're not allowed to release direct.
Why are you committing a crime right now and not reporting suspected child abuse, as well as the judge the other day and the police gave me a citation, and then the one that detained me at that same department for trying to report child abuse? Why are you guys committing crimes?
Okay,
For you not to reporting suspected child abuse is a crime. You're committing a crime right now. Why are you doing that? Why would all these parties hear me beg for the safety of me and my child for years and deprive us of the right to be safe and enforce abuse?
Where did this all occur?
We're deflecting on why you're committing a crime right now. You already have a report number for Richardson.
Where did this occur?
You have a report number for Richardson. What was your name again?
Nito, N-I-E-T-O.
And your badge number?
1157.
So are you depriving me of any resolutions to see my daughter as they've done years? Are you going to enforce with bullying my daughter and terrorizing her like you did my other kids that they have nothing to do with me, torture them until they're scared to be around me? Is that what you're trying to do? Get her abused enough and terrorized enough to where she's afraid to be around me like you did with my sons?
Yes, ma'am. You can come up to the police station.
I'm not being heard, sir. I would like to know why you're committing a crime right now and tampering with evidence of felony and not reporting the crimes that I'm reporting to you and not investigating them.
Where did this occur?
You already have the report. You know where it occurred because you already went over that report number. Why are you deflecting and playing games?
Well,
like all police departments is the government behind my daughter's abuse is the government behind my daughter's abuse and enforcing it? Are you terrorizing my family to torture me? Are you behind all these people committing these felony crimes of interference with child custody and refuse to investigate yourselves? Is that why they gave me a ticket for reporting child abuse? Are they so corrupt they enticed a judge to be a conspirator in the crime and lied on their oaths, which is a crime, and deprived me of the right to report to him child abuse and cover for it? Is that why all this is going on? Because you're conspirators in abuse? Are you taking bribes to terrorize my family for profit?
Actually, there's no cost to obtain a call sheet. You can come up and obtain a call sheet for free.
So this is what's been going on years. They have enforced it. This is criminal. You know, the United States enforces child abuse. They will not take the reports. They will refuse to investigate themselves for years.
We do have the call card report right here. You can obtain a copy of it by coming up to the police station. The
problem of it is I'm deprived of law enforcement and all avenues of law enforcement, which I thought was RICO charges, terrorizing a citizen and then depriving them of law enforcement. I thought those were RICO charges, which is pretty extreme for the government to be a part of, which I thought would be like a threat to national security when our government gets that corrupt, but I'm not heard. Is that RICO charges, terrorizing someone and then depriving them of law enforcement out of corruption? Like mob-like mentality from the government?
RICO's a federal level offense.
Right. So if the government is involved in RICO charges like mob-like mentality, could that possibly be a threat to national security? If the government's not placed under control and behaving like the mob?
Well, that's a good question, Ms. Clark, but RICO is usually handled by the Department of Justice. And I would think that would be the U.S. Attorney General's office that would also...
Well, they schemed there, sir, and had security remove me there from reporting crimes. I think that this is a threat. I'm not being a lot heard. So I just, wait like I have been. I'm deprived of law enforcement and all these massive amount of crimes that continue to be unaddressed. I don't have rights. Conspiracy to violate civil rights crimes down to the degree of terrorizing me and preventing me from access to food and water that consistently is ignored. So I tried to expose your criminal activity for years, and there's very little done. I'm still tortured daily without a lot of relief from the abuse. So anyway, I just wanted to incriminate people. Thank you. I know that you're going to cover up like you guys have been doing years. You just committed a crime.
Okay, like I said, Ms. Clark, you have access to the call card reports. All you have to do is come up to the police lobby.
But there's still no avenue of law enforcement. What is the point of getting records that are not investigated for hundreds of police reports all over? What difference does it make if I get records and you're committing a crime, multiple crimes right now, depriving me of law enforcement, not the government enforcing child abuse to terrorize and torture me to keep me away from my child that's in an emotionally and physically abusive environment? Forcing her to condone a sick amount of activity from the government, criminal activity from the government, enforcing that she condones with this sadistic behavior of our government. Nothing's being done about it. I don't appreciate the government enforcing my child to stay in this environment till she's controlled enough to where she's terrorized at her legal age to not want to be around me like you did with my sons.
Without an address to reference the issues of which you speak.
You have a call sheet. You're not making sense. You're making absolutely no sense. I just went over a case number.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have a reference of all that information. You're not being honest. As a multitude of officers that keep tampering with evidence, which is a felony. Mm-hmm. You do have all that information documented. You're not being honest. So that we're deflecting the key thing here is why you're depriving me of law enforcement. If you do already have that information on file, and depriving me of any information on why you deprive me of investigation for such extreme events, and also deprive me of getting the right to get in a safe environment as you have done years. To the degree of coming to a hospital stay with mob-like mentality, enforcing that the hospital staff conspire with your crimes and deprive me of housing and any social worker services like you've done years. Okay, this is a waste of time. I've been going on years. So you get to see how this is criminal. This is a crime that they have been getting away with years. Viewers, what are you going to do?
I will document our contact, Ms. Clark, and as I said, you can access these reports, through our records department.
They won't stop until they get the consequences. Bye.
Have a good day, Ms. Clark. Take care.